Hi, and welcome to the 9th video in our PowerShell Elasticsearch tutorial series. In the last video, we saw how we can delete some records in our index. Today, we're actually going to be taking a look at how to update records in our index, which is actually very, very similar to the delete method. So we're going to see two different ways to update. So we're going to see how to update an entire record and how to only update a partial record. They are slightly different, but they're also very similar at the same time. They should not take us that long to cover. And we are going to be using the same index and mapping that we've been using the whole time. We're just going to find an arbitrary item in our records, and we are going to update that one. Most typically, if you're doing updates on your Elasticsearch index, you're probably not going to be updating something like a service script, but maybe if you're using Elasticsearch to store some employee data, then you would have an ID that you assign to each record, which would probably be the employee ID. And then if that person ever changes name, you can update their name. That would be a much more real life scenario example of the update in action. But at least this way, we're going to be able to do the updates and see how they work in Elasticsearch and how we can use PowerShell to execute those. So the first thing we need to do, similarly to the deletes, is we actually need to find the record that we want to update. And we need to grab the ID for that. So what we need to do is we need to create a search. So let's go ahead and let's create a search. So we're going to be taking a look at that once again. So we're just going to create our body for our search here. And we are just going to go ahead and we are going to create a literal string. We are going to do our open and closing curly bracket, and we are going to put our query in double quotes and go ahead and open the curly brackets there. And we're going to say that it is a bool query, and then once again, colon and open and close curly brackets. And we want it to must have a, so we want it to must, and we want it to match, and we want it to match on the type, and we want it to be on OK. All right, and we are going to put the size here as equals 1,000. Oops, size. We need to actually put that in double quotes here, else we're going to have the same problem as last time. And our comma, and we are going to sort on the timestamp here because that's actually going to help us find our updated record afterwards. So once we actually sort it on the timestamp, that should be good. Now all we need to do is create our response variable, and we're going to make that equal to our invoke-rest method, our URI, and we are going to put our uriBase here, /logs, /_search, question mark. Now the pretty after the question mark is completely optional, but if we want the search to look nice when we convert it to JSON, we just have to add that pretty option there. And we're going to put the method as being post. And we're going to pass in our headers. We're going to pass in our body, which is our search. And we are going to skip the certificate check. And we are going to go ahead and we're going to look at response dot. We just have to wait till we actually load that up here. So let's run this entire code. And we actually have an error message here, which is the timestamp needs to be in double quotes. So that actually happened in the last video here. So it is very tricky to always remember to make sure that you put everything in double quotes. So once we have our response here, we are going to see we have a response.hits. Now, again, if you want to look at the actual object itself, you would be able to add the _source here, and this will give you the actual items that you've put in. But because we need the ID, we are only going to be looking at .hits here. And we are going to be selecting the first one in the list. So let's just go ahead and let's do a select. So pass that to select dash first. and then 1, and that will only select the top one. So here is our record that we are going to be updating here. So we have our ID here. Just make it look nicer here. So we have our ID, we have our source. So right now it is the Windows Audio Endpoint Builder is running, should be running. The application name is YouTube Service Script, and we have the timestamp. So let's go ahead and let's update that here. So let's store this data. So let's go record to update is going to be equal to that. So now if we look at our record to update, that's what it'll show us. So that is perfectly fine. So then what we need to do to actually update it is we need to do a full update first. So we need to update every field. So we have the timestamp field, server name field, application name, type, and message. So what we actually need to do is create a body here. So another body with a literal string. And what we need to do is we need to put in all the options that we actually want it to equal. So let's create a timestamp here. And what we're going to do to pass in the timestamp is we are actually going to create a variable right before our body called timestamp. And this way we let PowerShell generate us that timestamp properly. So to do that is we are going to create a variable called timestamp, and we're going to make that equal to a set of parentheses, get date dash date parameter. And then we are going to pass in a variable wrapper here and pass in get date. And then after the variable wrapper, we are going to say to universal time. And that's going to have an open and closing parentheses. And then we're going to do a dash format. And we are going to do 4 lowercase y's for the year, dash 2 uppercase m's for the month, dash 2 lowercase d's for the date, and then a capital T, 2 uppercase h's for hour in the 24-hour format, 2 lowercase m's for the amount of minutes, and 2 lowercase s's for the amount of seconds. So if we actually just run this code here, and we look at this timestamp, it's going to show us, it shows us 2023 1:18 at midnight and 8 minutes and 42 seconds. That is because this is universal time. So right now where I am, it is 7:08 on the 17th. So we just got to keep that in mind when you do deal with universal time. It is going to be slightly different than the time that you're used to dealing with. We're going to put our timestamp in here. For the server name, we are going to go ahead and we are just going to put a fictitious name here. So we're just going to put some server name. And make sure you always add in comments at the end here. And then we're going to put application name. And we are going to put the application name here as YouTube Service Script. And then dash updater. And then the type, we are going to put that as okay still. And we are going to put the message as this has been updated. All right, so once we have that body here, all we need to do is call our API, which is going to be, again, we're going to store that in response, and we're going to make that equal to invoke-restmethod. The URI that we're going to be calling for this is going to be the uriBase /logs /_doc / and then we're going to put our variable wrapper here, and we're going to do a record to update ._ID, and we're going to put our question mark pretty, and then our method is going to be a put method here. And once again, we're going to put our headers. Our body is going to be in the body field. And we are going to skip certificate check. So once we actually do that here, so let's actually just run all of this code here. And now let's check out what our response is. So if we look at our response here, we see that our record in index logs, we see our ID that was updated. We see version is actually set to 2. So the original version was 1. Every time that you update a record, this version will actually update. So if we actually put this, let's just run this again here, and we look at response, we will see that the version is 3 now because it is the second time it's updated. So the first time it was put in, it's version 1. First time it's updated, it's version 2. Second time we update it, it is version 3. The result is updated. We see that it was a successful status, and we have our sequence number, and we have our terms. So that is all good there. So we can actually see everything there. Now let's actually see if it actually updated. So let's go ahead and let's just copy our original search here that we had at the top. We're just going to paste this at the bottom here. And remember that we are searching for the type OK, and we are sorting by the timestamp. Now, because I just created the timestamp as being right now, it should be the last record that comes up. So if we actually run this code here, and we actually just do response dot hits, and let's do it underscore source, just because it'll be a lot easier to look at the actual object. And there it is. So there is our timestamp here. And we have some server name, we have YouTube service script updater, we have OK, and we have this message has been updated. So everything worked actually super, super good here. Now let's actually try to do a partial update. So we're going to update that same record, and we're just going to update the type here. So let's go ahead and let's create another body here. We're going to do a literal string. And we're going to do an open and close parentheses. Now for the partial update, what we actually need to do is put the word doc in double quotes, and then a colon, and then an open and close curly brackets. And in here, you're going to put the fields that you want updated. You could put 1 field, you could put 2 fields. You can actually put all the fields here. If you're going to do all the fields, you might as well just do the full update. But here is where you would actually just put in all the fields that you want to actually update. So if we do type here, and let's do type to be updated. Updated dash OK. So it'll still come up in our search. And once we actually have that, all we need to do is actually call or store it in our response variable here and do our invoke-rest method. And do the URI as once again, it's going to be the uriBase here, /logs, /doc, /, and then we are going to have to put our record to update dot underscore ID and do a question mark pretty. And the method is still a put method here. And once again, we need to put our headers, put the body, and put the skip certificate check. And let's go ahead and let's run this here. And once we actually have that updated here, so let's just see what our response is equal to this time. We should actually see number 4 because it is the same ID. So we do see 4, and it was successful here. So let's actually rerun our search, and let's see what it looks like and make sure that the actual update actually applied. And let's see if we can find that here. And so as you can see, the OK did not come up. So if we actually look at updated, I believe that will work. And we should actually put updated dash OK actually, because I believe that the mapping, we did not put the analyzer on that one. So let's actually try updated, okay. Let's match it on the server name here. And let's do some server name because we did change the type here. It's giving us a little bit of issues with this same search. Okay. Let's try to find the item here. Let's do application name, and let's do this as YouTube here, and let's run the search once again. All right, give me 1 second. I'm just going to actually pause the video here just to figure out exactly what's going on, and we will be right back. All right, we are back. Sorry about that. I just didn't want to extend the video too much longer there. So I did find what was going on, and it is actually a little typo here that we made in the update here. So in our update of a single field, we have our body with the doc, and we specify the type. So in the actual URI, it is going to be the uriBase /logs /_update and not _doc, and then your update ID that you want to update. And then the method is going to be a post and not a put. So the big change here is going to be changing to post and a _update instead of a underscore doc. I'm keeping this mistake in here once again just to kind of show you guys that it is definitely okay to make mistakes and to learn from them, because you will not get this always on the first try. But now if we actually just do updated okay, try, let's do second try here, and we actually go ahead and we post this here, we will get back that we get a successful update. And now let's go ahead and let's match on the type of okay, and we are going to be looking at it, and there is our second try here, which is our new value in this, and we can actually even change it again. So if we do that, and again here, and we can actually run this, and let's go ahead and let's run our search once more. Oops, and let's do that. And there we go. And again is now in there. So there are 2 ways to update. You can also update by query. I find that in my scenarios, I have always updated pretty specific fields, but there is an update by query option. If there are enough desires to show the update by query option, I could definitely make a video on it. So please let me know down below in the comment section if you guys do want to see that. But the major differences between the two is if you are updating the whole record, you are going to be specifying _doc, the ID that you want to update, and it's going to be a put method. whereas the updating just one specific field, you are going to be specifying the underscore update and only specifying inside of a doc the fields that you want to actually update. So that is how you actually update items in Elasticsearch with PowerShell. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I'm leaving that mistake in there once again just to kind of show you guys that it is normal. If you guys have any comments or questions for me, please let me know in the comment section down below. I will do my best to answer them directly. And if it's something that can benefit a lot of people, I will try my best to make a video on that as well to benefit everyone. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, also hit that notification bell to be notified when that next video comes out. And I will see you guys on the next video.